Fighting fires in North Carolina is becoming increasingly difficult due to a shortage of firefighters. Orange County is tackling the problem through innovative training and recruitment programs. Commissioner, we've heard a bit about places in North Carolina that are really innovating. For those places that might be a little bit behind the curveball and are inspired to do more innovations, what advice do you have for them?
My advice would be go visit those fire departments that are on the cutting edge of these innovations. I'll give you an example. We talked earlier about starting at younger ages. There's a fire department up in Randolph County in Archdale, Gill Rand Fire Department. It's right near the Guilford County, Randolph County line. Every summer they have a fire camp for children ages 7 to 10. And every summer there's more applicants than they have spaces. They limit it to 50 people. Now it takes a lot of work and a lot of funding to put these fire camps on, but you think what that does to those 50 children that are going through that experience of being exposed to the fire service. Some of them have never been exposed to the fire service, and these are the ages where we must reach them. Other fire camps are ages 11 to 14. The Gaston Fire Department I mentioned, they have a summer camp for ages 11 through 14. So having people in those departments to go around to community colleges and see what's happening in the community colleges and the high schools that may have junior firefighter programs, looking into Explorer programs, all of these things, there's help out there. We have help from the Office of State Fire Marshal, and I know it's an oxymoron to say we're from the government and we're here to help, but that's our
Not
message.
on this program,
we're here to help. We're here to help, so thank you.
So career awareness, certainly important. Tim, what else can a community do?
Well, actually, volunteer firefighters in themselves are very humble. They need to advertise. The National Volunteer Fire Council did a study. Less than 11% of the population knew whether their fire department was looking for help or not. So we're not doing advertisements. So there are good programs. National Volunteer Fire Council has a Make Me a Firefighter program. Even in North Carolina Association of Fire Chiefs is working through the International Fire Chiefs with a program called Workforce Solutions, 15 individual fire departments. So there are models, like the Commissioner said, there are models out there. We just have to get those into the hands of the ones that need them.
So Margaret, how do we connect the information to the people who need to hear it?
So I think from the community college point, we have 58 community colleges that serve 100 counties in North Carolina, and I think we leverage that to be able to say, how do we work with those colleges and those programs to ensure that that communication is happening and that outreach is occurring effectively.
And of course, most of the training happens at community colleges, but there are also some high school training programs.
Correct. The Department of Public Instruction, through their high school programs, has several high schools that have their own programs. We also have some opportunities, and we're working those conversations with DPI to allow the community colleges to collaborate with some, particularly our rural high schools, to get high school programs in fire academies with those community colleges. And so we're really working in those efforts to broaden where that reach can be.
We've talked a lot about volunteer fire departments and others. You just mentioned the difference between rural areas and urban areas. And I wonder, Tim, if we could close with you, just giving us some sense of what it will mean to rural North Carolina if we don't recruit more people into volunteer fire departments.
Well, they're going to have to find alternate means. When I started in the fire service 45 years ago, 90% of the departments in North Carolina were volunteer. There's only 54% now that are fully volunteer. Another 37% of what we call combination, they've had to hire career firefighters. So your traditional volunteer fire departments having to put career firefighters in the station, whether it's 1, 2, or 5, to cover the load. And if rural North Carolina sees that trend as well, then somebody's going to have to come up with the money to pay, whether it's the county, ad valorem tax base, fire tax districts, or, as the Commissioner well knows, fundraising by the fire department itself. You got to have personnel there to respond to fires. People leaving communities to work, they don't have that time. So you got to figure out a way to provide the firefighters without funding.